You get to choose one. Gifts, or I could touch your bum, or I could tell you what a great person you are. What am I talking about?
What's up, everybody? This is SafeWord, a platform for teaching, learning, and opening the eyes of our audience to the world of kink, BDSM, and relationships. I am your host, Kay Marcos.
And I am your other host, Aurora Storr.
And I am your co-host, Callista Fury.
And I'm the other co-host, Knight Wagner.
So, what are we talking about today? That was kind of a crazy intro right there. You know, that sounded a little, ooh, hey now. But we are talking about love languages. And since it's St. Patrick's Day, we're all dressed in green. Okay, anyway.
Yes, happy St. Patty's Day, everybody, from Donatello to the green I have.
As always, first, make sure you like and subscribe for more content on kink, BDSM, and relationships.
All right. Well, this is SafeWord. And here on SafeWord, we have a SafeWord of the day. We are going to use this SafeWord to stop any kind of conversation. If you wanted to halt, stop, pause, whatever you wanted to, just stop it. You say the SafeWord of the day. So the SafeWord of the day today, guys, is exams. All right. But first and foremost, let's say hello to our A1 since day one, Mr. Roy, because he rocks with us on every single live. All right.
What up, Roy?
Hey, Roy.
Okay. Now, just moving us straight along. Mr. Kane, do we have kink news?
Yes, I do. All right. So I got a couple of stuff for us today. Let's start off with the kinkiest of them all. All right. So they just released another medical study. I'm sure you guys have heard like this before, where they basically tell men that masturbating 21 times a month is a good way to reduce their chance of prostate cancer by 33%. So science is actually...
What's that number again?
21 times a month.
21.
Reduces your risk of prostate cancer by 33%. So they actually took the time, and I guess it was like a 10-year study that they just concluded, where they found out that people who masturbated a certain amount of times had a reduced risk of prostate cancer, which is good news for guys everywhere. If you guys want to keep your risk for prostate cancer low, and you want to get a good report when your doctor goes, gives you that check when you're 40, go ahead and tug one out, every once in a while, at least 21 times a month. Don't try to get them all knocked out in a day and say I'm cool for the rest of the month. Like you're not going to beat the record, which I think was 83.
And it's 33% decrease, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you double that, then in theory, you should be... No, that's not how it works.
You just get a machine that jerks you off all the time, and you'll never have to worry about it ever.
Because it's science. I'm hearing numbers. I'm hearing scientific things. 21, 33%, right? Okay, 42 should be... Makes sense, right?
I think you burn the candle at both ends at that point.
Do you have anything left if you're masturbating that much? Because for guys, that stuff comes out and it's exhausting, apparently. So, you have to laying there. There's nothing else to come out. Yeah,
Are you kidding?
That's
boring.
I think
no, orange juice in 15 minutes are ready to go again.
Yeah, I think Knight is most interested in this because he's stuck at about 18 to 19 times per month, so he's trying to up his game.
Are you kidding? 10 is a lazy Sunday. What are you talking about?
I just can't. All I can think of right now is some poor bastard who's just sitting there and he was like, man, I've got kids. Like, there is no me getting like 5 minutes alone 21 times a month. Like, that's just impossible.
It's over for me.
That's what happens to those motherfuckers that get caught jerking off in parking lots and stuff. Just like, I can't go home. What do you want me to do?
Like, I'm trying to avoid cancer, officer.
Hold on, I was almost there. Don't pepper spray me. It'll make me do it again.
It's a prostate cancer, which, I mean, I understand that that's all interconnected. You got to clean out the pipes, you know? So if you're not doing it, you ain't touching yourself.
Well, so now I want to put an interesting twist on this because, you know, what are we here for? So guys are like a bunch of ladies or a bunch of guys right now are basically telling their ladies like, hey, I'm supposed to bust one at least 21 times a month. So, you know, hop to it, get on it, you know, blah, blah, blah. But imagine if, you know, like a study came out where women had to have, you know, like 21 orgasms a month to avoid ovarian cancer. Like, what does that look like? I mean, you know, like guys are sitting here telling their old ladies and telling their wives, their partners, all of them, hey, I need to masturbate or I need to get off at least 21 times a month. I'll take care of 11 of them on my own. If you can help me out with the other 10, you know, at least twice a week, you know, I'll hit a healthy number. If you found out a chick had to get off 21 times a month, I mean, there'd be a line of guys just like, hey, do you need a hand? I'm here to help you with your annual checkup. You know,
or
have you met your quota this month?
But it could also take the opposite turn with that because, you know, like there's this thing where women are harder to get off. So I could see a lot of guys running too and going, no, God, I ain't got to do it this many times. No, I got to get you off.
I got to take care of 44 of my own. Come on, give me a break.
I feel like most guys would be like challenge expected and try to actually reach that.
If you think we actually care if you finish or not, it's just like, oh, well, hey, I'll come back tomorrow. We'll see if we can do it then. I'll ring that bell one of these times. Just let me get another go at it.
Let me try again. Reset. There is no reset button. I hate to tell you this.
Let me get some orange juice in 15 minutes. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna get it this time. I promise.
Damn.
Calista, Kane made a good point. If you had to stave off the effects of any sort of health issues, if you had to pleasure thyself, would you then break your strongly held conviction?
I mean, it would be for science, right? Or my health benefit. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't just make a phone call at that point because I still have that list.
Phone call.
That's why I said there's a line of dudes who are just trying to help women avoid ovarian cancer.
Kane also brought up a good point. You know, there's usually a line of guys that will kind of, hey, let me help you out there. So, you know, I still don't feel that I need to take care of it on my own.
A bunch of dudes that are certified technicians. EMTs.
I will help you out, girl. How many times you say you need to get off? I got you.
All right.
Which is just bullshit.
I know. Guys are sitting there like, why don't I have a line around the block? It says in science that I need to come this many times so I don't have prostate cancer. Girls, line up.
But, you know, that brings up an interesting point because I read a fact one time and I was cracking up where it says guys think they want a woman who wants a lot of sex until they get with a woman who wants a lot of sex.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep, that's true. That's just true.
I guarantee you, just like, no, not me. I'm cool with that. Listen, when you wake up in the morning and it's you know, you're already getting prodded. Hey, it's time. And then you get out of bed, have a shower, and then have to come back. Hey, it's time. And then you have breakfast, and then she's down there again. Hey, it's time. Listen, it'll get old quick. Trust me. Not that I know. I'm just saying.
Especially for Mr. Knight, because if you watch her show, you would find out that Mr. Knight likes to lay on his back a lot. Every show he'll tell you.
I've done a lot of work.
Starfish on the bed and just lay there.
I was like, oh, it's time again. Okay. It's only noon. It's already 6 times. Fine. Okay.
You are so lazy.
You're like he's like the rape victim in his own relationship. Like, oh my God, we have to do this again. I guess just get on. Let's just make it quick. you done yet? No. Okay.
So, ladies, if you're into necrophilia, Night is the partner for you.
What? First, before we get into this, I have a very, very important question about definitions. Aliens. One came, landed in front of you, and it's like, hey, what's this thing love I keep hearing about? How do you describe that?
How do you describe love? Ooh. It's a feeling. It's emotion. Like, unless you have feelings and emotion, you can't really describe that. But
I think love is different for everyone, though. It's sometimes, there's an emotion and there's a feeling there, but I mean, when you're really in love, it's just a lot more than that.
That sounds like indigestion to me. Are you sure it's this love thing I keep hearing about?
It's the connection. See, like you could explain it like an energy connection to somebody that doesn't understand love. You know what I'm saying? Like the energy give and take and that push and pull, but they're still connected like a magnet. That would be a way I would think I would explain it to somebody that doesn't have emotion or feeling. You've got to go scientific. And I only know because I have to do it with my son. I have to get really scientific. He's like, he actually has asked me this question. And I've talked about him on the show before. He's about my Black Sheldon. Okay. He thinks very logically. There is no emotion. He is a robot as far as he is concerned. So he asked me what is love? And so I had to explain it like, okay, do you see this magnet here? See this magnet here? Watch. And he was like, what? And so we had to break it down like a little bit more logical, but I couldn't explain it to him with feelings. Anytime I brought a feeling into it, he was like, does not compute. What do you mean? I don't understand. So, when it got down to explaining energies and how they're attracted to each other and protons, then he's like, oh, okay. All right, that makes a little bit more sense. So I've got to find somebody that works with my chemical balance, and he's doing equations. But that's But what would Kate? How would you explain it to an alien? That's a really good question.
I've always tried to find a definition for love. I've always tried to figure out, like that exact question. If somebody, it was one of those high thoughts, like what does water taste like? How do you describe the flavor of water?
Yeah.
It's one of those impossible questions to answer. And one of the funniest things that I ever heard love broken down into was the chemical imbalance that roots in your brain and tells you that the person you're with can be trusted and can be counted on to preserve your existence. So love is nothing more than a level of trust in the act of self-preservation.
A level of survival. Fight or flight.
It's not.
This is.
Until it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, explain until it's not. When is it not?
So my concept, my philosophy on love is first that it is defined differently by every individual based on how they experienced or gone through life. Secondly, it is as fluid as water, meaning your love can change from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, from the week, from the month, and it is never something that is consistent. And it's something as fickle and as fleeting that can be broken in a second. Just as much as it could be ignited in a spark. So something like that, so inconsequential and untangible, that is so controlling of every aspect that we do. It is this scientific, universal mumbo jumbo. And so I would tell the aliens, it is a mental disorder that we humans have.
A mental disorder?
That causes us to act out of character most of the time, and where we avoid or even suspend our self-preservation, which is one of the strongest human elements.
Yep. That's a good description.
That is, other than the mental disorder.
Well, no, I honestly think that it's a little bit of a mental disorder. I mean, if you've ever read the thing about when you have children, the only reason you don't kill your child because it's so cute is because of something in your brain.
No. So I was actually going to get into that because I don't think Knight and Callista were here the first time I explained that. The feeling you get of when something is too cute and you want to squish it, or like you want to
you drool, like your mouth drools.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
What is it?
That is literally your brain not being able to comprehend the emotion that this thing is giving you. So your brain is actually wanting you to kill it so that way it can start comprehending the world the way that it was before. So when you see something cute like a puppy or something and you're just like, oh, I just want to squeeze it. It's actually a survival mechanism that your brain's playing on you to kill it so that way it ceases to be cute. So that way it can be, something that your brain can perceive and make sense of again.
And
we
there's
as humans can't handle utopia.
Marcos right there.
So that's why I said it's a mental disorder. Yeah, he ain't off with that.
Yeah. No, we cannot handle utopia. They talked about the Matrix. We can't do utopia.
No, we can't. No. Like, I don't think we function very well as humans without some kind of chaos and, I mean, like something forever changing.
I definitely feel like if we could figure out how to live in perfect harmony, we'd find a way to sell chaos.
Yep.
Misery and chaos would be the new commodities.
Well, and then I saw her mouth move, but heard nothing come out.
Oh, I said there's some people who are drawn to it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Chaos.
And they can't function without it. They know how to control chaos, but when there ain't no chaos, then they're like, what the hell? And they self-sabotage because they just can't function without the chaos. So,
but that's not us tonight. Tonight we're talking about the love languages. So,
well, I've got a question. Okay, I got a question for all y'all. All right. Does anybody here know what the 5 languages of love or love languages are?
Aside from the fact that we just took the test, or
no, I just want y'all to come on. We don't get into the test. Don't nobody know we took a test yet. Thank you, Kane.
They call me Dr. Love on the radio.
Physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, and time. I'm always
time.
Quality time.
Yeah, that last one I don't care about so much.
Yeah, the last one always escapes me.
You know what Kane did on the dang thing. Okay, so speaking of, I did have my whole crew take a love language test, and we're going to take one of the bigger ones where it's the IGTFP, EFTP, we'll take that one later. But this one was just a little quick one. So, I'm going to make my crew here read their results.
Oh, no.
Oh no! So if you ever wanted to know what any of your hosts' love languages are so that you can, slide in their DMs, you're going to find out tonight. All right, so I'm going to kick this off with Kate.
Of course. All right, so out of the 5 love languages, the one that I resonated with the most, or the one that came through highest on my test, was words of affirmation. I don't know if we want to get into why, but let's just go through. I got words of affirmation at 33%, quality time at 27%, physical touch.
Zams, tell me what words of affirmation mean before you just run through it. Just like real quick explanation. Say words of affirmation and tell me what it means. I mean, people are like, what's affirmation?
Jesus Christ, are you on a fucking espresso or something? What the hell is on you?
I'm just saying.
What does it mean? Fucking, did we put an 8-ball in our fucking cappuccino this morning?
I'm half asleep. What are you talking about? This is I'm delirious. Okay, go ahead.
No shit. All right, so I got words of affirmation. Fuck. I guess we're gonna go ahead and do this, a Dr. Phil special. I didn't receive it very much as a child. I was always told a lot of the things that I did weren't good enough. So anytime somebody tells me good job, I gravitate towards that. And then I got quality time. Again, something growing up with a single mother just wasn't always affordable or, there. So, just the child in me really longs for that moment of, just one-on-one communication to make me feel heard and special. And then physical touch, I got 20%. And I think that kind of just fell along the wayside because, other things kind of felt more important. And then acts of service and receiving gifts were low on my list. I'm kind of, self-sufficient. I don't like anything having to be done for me that I can't do for myself. So, I mean, like if there's somebody doing a chore for me, it was like one of the test questions. It's like, oh, would it mean something if your partner did the chore for you? It was like, no, that's why we divvy them up to begin with.
Right.
You know, if it's my responsibility, it's my responsibility. If they're doing it, I feel like it's something I owe them now rather than something nice that they did.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. How accurate do you feel this test was to like your actual love language? Because I know that each one of us can self-reflect and probably understand what our love languages are on a deeper level. So and this is a very surface level test, but how accurate do you think it was?
You know, I would say that it's, you know, maybe 60% accurate. I mean, a lot of the questions and the way that they break them up, I mean, it's a quick test. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it does the job if you want a quick result, but if you really want to understand and figure some stuff out, I really think that some of the questions you need to be able to rank them, you know, a couple of different examples, you know, rank them 1 to 5 and then have that spread out just like the more advanced test does. So,
Yeah.
as far as like just learning, you know, real quick, just, hey, you know, spit some results out. It's a really good test. I would say it's about 65% accurate.
Okay, now we'll put the link to that down in the description box below, but I'm going to kick this next one off to Mr. Knight. We're going to hear from another guy. And since, you know, he likes to put up this big facade, I hope he took the test honestly. And let's hear your results.
like Kay was saying, the test is not particularly deep. Like, you know, some of the questions like, do you like cake or back rubs? You know, so if you know how to answer these tests.
I like cake and back rubs on my back. Yeah.
You know, so the questions do need a bit more depth to it. But my number one language is at 35% receiving gifts. So we got an Amazon.
That's not surprising.
Not at all.
Description box below for Knight Wagner's wish list. Amazon, it'll be
there. Quality time came in at a close 32%. So I like to Netflix and chill. At 16%, words of affirmation came on low. I don't, you know, hey, you're a great guy. Now you say that. Tomorrow will be a different story. So again, personal trauma, right? Acts of service, also 16%. Also, you know, I can do it myself. Thanks. Or,
Yeah.
You know, you probably did it in a way that I didn't like it. I appreciate it. Thanks for going through all the trouble.
Now I gotta redo it.
Now I gotta fix it.
Now I gotta redo it and do it right.
Yeah, exactly. And physical touch coming in at a strong 0. Don't touch me. Leave me alone. Don't care.
I can back that one up because I have known Mr. Knight for a very long time. Okay. We were at the same prom together. Did not come together, but we were at the same prom together. And I'm asking him, get up. Come on, let's go dance. And he's like, that's great. Yeah. So yeah, no, don't touch Knight. If we're at an event, ask him first.
Yeah, just like, you know, hugs and all. Like, doesn't a hug make you feel better? I'm like, no.
No.
Bodily contact. Bodily contact.
He's got a cold, dark heart. Just no.
That's my love language.
That's my love language. All right. So, you know, we got how accurate you thought this was. So, Miss Callista, let's hear from the first girl on the panel. What do we get? What do we get? Oh, she got nails and stuff. Oh, no. Cutting people up. You're like, get the fuck away from me.
Well, let me tell you the ways to my heart. Coming in at 37% was acts of service. I was not surprised by that. That I knew that was my love language, my top tier. I love for things to be done, things on my chore list, and just, hey, gas in my car cleaned, or my kitchen cleaned. Acts of service, love it every single time. Then coming in at 20% was quality time. Yeah, just I like to know you're around. I don't necessarily need you around, but I like to have you around and kind of next to me. I was kind of surprised on the two coming up next. So I got tied at 17% for both physical touch and receiving gifts. And that was surprising to me because typically I don't like to be touched. Don't touch me unless it's meaningful and I give you permission. Because I'm very much that way. I'm like, don't touch me. I'm good. You know, stay away. I feel like those came in a lot higher than I thought they should have.
Mhm.
Receiving gifts, I typically am very much of a person like I can buy my own shit, you know. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for buying me these things, and I'm very appreciative. Don't get me wrong, I'm very appreciative. However, it's really not my thing as far as receiving gifts. It's a
Yeah.
special moment for sure, but
Yeah, something that like you have to have that connection and that bond with somebody to receive
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. And then coming
Well,
in at 10% would be words of affirmation. And I'm not surprised by that because I'm very much don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me what you're going to do. Be about it.
mhm.
So when it comes to people's words, I typically don't tend to listen. I listen to their actions and their demeanor mostly. So,
So how
yeah.
accurate do you think this was for you, this test?
Um, the the top one, it's very accurate. The only things that I would again disagree with was the physical touch and the receiving gifts on how, even though that came in pretty low at 17%, I still feel that maybe that should have been a little bit lower.
Right.
But acts of service being my top one and words of affirmation being my bottom one, I agree with those two.
Okay, cool. So now we're gonna get into me. And yeah, I want to read the results first and then we'll talk. All right. So when I took the test, quality time came in at 37%, words of affirmation at 20. Now, I'm already kind of like, oh, okay, this is off. Because I know that my number one is like, and it depends. I don't like physical touch from strangers, but if I'm in a relationship with somebody, my number one is like for me to feel okay. Like even if we've had an argument, touch me so I know that we're okay. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something for like I couldn't even believe that that wasn't the top one. So, but and quality time, I'm just yeah, I need it if I'm with somebody. You know what I'm saying? And it's a deep relationship or a long term relationship. Yes, but if I'm dating you. No, like absolutely, like just okay. Like when we see each other, cool, and I'm cool with that. But I digress. So yeah, so physical touch was the third one, and it came in at 20%, and which is where I feel like it should have been higher up. And acts of service came in at 17%, which I really didn't get because I feel guilty. I don't care how long I've been with you. I feel extremely guilty, and now I fucking owe you something because you bought me something. So like that, and it's my own kind of shit. But like, I have a really hard time even accepting gifts. It's been something that I've had to work on and be like, it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's not that I don't love it. It's just like, okay, well now what are you expecting from me? And maybe that's just my upbringing. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I got stuff from, my mom and things like that, there was always a clause with it, like, okay, even guys I dated, okay, well, I bought you something to shut you up, or I bought you something so that you'll sit down in the corner and be quiet. I don't want, gifts, you doing shit like that. All of that just stresses me out. I can do it myself. You know what I'm saying?
But isn't that the point of all of these languages? Like you're giving somebody something to get something back. Like if I'm rubbing your back, or if I'm cleaning the kitchen.
Okay, see, and then that's how you run your relationships. I don't necessarily do anything to get anything back. Like when I'm doing something for somebody, I'm doing it because I care about you. I'm doing it to show you that I love you. I'm doing it because I want you to see, like that's it. I'm not looking for you to get me something, do something for me. If I'm doing something for you, it's because I'm doing something for you.
So here's a product. Here's a product purse. That's for you, man.
That feels freaking awkward. I really would, especially a Prada purse. I'd be like, okay, now what do you want? Especially if we're dating. I'd be like, you ain't getting the cookie because you bought me a Prada purse. Thank you. And, like what? Like what? Why? What?
I
Why?
agree with you on that one. I'm very much the same way too. I'm like, whenever, and then maybe that's where some of my awkwardness comes from receiving gifts as well.
Right.
It's just kind of like, oh, now you want something in return. What do you want? Do I have to buy you something? Do I have to open up my legs for you? What is it?
What is it? What do I owe you now? And it doesn't matter how long I've been with that person. I still feel like, okay, well, and then I'm keeping like this mental list in the back of my head. Bought me this and bought me this and bought me this. So I'm gonna shut up here. I'm not saying nothing there. I owe him, and I'm gonna sit here and just yeah. No, no. It really makes me uncomfortable. But I'm working on it because I do appreciate it. And especially when it comes from somebody I really care about, you know what I'm saying? I see what they're trying to do, but it's still, there's this little person inside of me that is freaking the hell out because you got me something. So that's the only thing that I felt like was right on my test, because receiving gifts was at the bottom and it was 7%. You know what I'm saying? Because it literally just causes panic attacks. So yeah. But so yeah, for me, the test was a little, I was just like, okay, well, why did that end up here? And I took it twice, got the same results to both times. Because I was like, this is off. This physical touch should be at the top, especially because I'm taking this like, hey, I'm dating this person. You know what I'm saying? So I was sitting there like, okay, well, you know, it's kind of close, because I guess receiving gifts is at the bottom, and that panics me. But yeah, I mean, but do you think, here's the thing, do you think that you can have more than one love language? I'm going to kick it to Calista. Wait, I want to hear from a girl first. I'm going to kick it to Calista. Do you think that you can have more than one love language?
I think you're going to have one main love language that kind of reigns over the rest of them. And then you'll have the others that again are meaningful to you and thoughtful. You know, if you're like, you know, let's say receiving gifts or spending quality time. If you're in a relationship or you're spending time with a person that you know, in hopes want to spend more time with, I think that those things, those attributes can be appreciated. You know, that's not necessarily my top. Quality time's not my top. However, if I'm with someone and want to maybe see them more or something, I know that I'm going to have to spend some quality time with that person just to keep them around and be around them. But I mean, for my instance, you know, with acts of service being my top, I know that if someone goes out of their way and does an act of service for me, I know that that's meaningful for me and that they're wanting to spend more time with me. And then I go into my other love languages too.
Okay.
And then kind of, you know, disperse appropriately as far as the relationship goes.
Exam. I got a question for you guys. For those that had low receiving gifts, were you an only child or do you have siblings?
I have siblings.
I have siblings
up the wazoo. I got too many.
Only child.
Interesting, because I had siblings as well. So I figured we had to. I don't know if your families are the same, but we had to watch out for your own things, right?
Yeah,
so you got something, you had to know where it was. If you lost, if you lost yours, sucks on you. I got mine.
Yep.
So they think we don't like to share. We do know how to share, but it's not like socialism. Sorry, you lost yours. I have mine.
Well, you want to protect the things that are yours. It doesn't necessarily mean that you like receiving gifts from somebody. It just means that, like, you know, it's yours, and you know you're protective of that. Especially if you've had siblings, because you've had to fight for your shit. You stay your clothes, your toys, you just everything. Okay, shit gets broken, lost, destroyed. You know, so like when you get older, you're like, this is mine. No, look here, back up. This is mine.
Well, for me, the receiving gifts thing kind of pinged low for me because I'm somebody who puts a lot of high value on a gift. You know, somebody putting thought or effort into it. It really means a lot. And it shows me that, you know, they were really thinking a lot. It makes me feel special. But I know for me, I put a lot of pressure on myself to take extra better care of something because I feel like sometime in the distant future, and maybe this was a result of my childhood, where didn't have much growing up. So what you got, if you didn't take care of, you know, somebody to come back 2 years later, be like, hey, you still got that thing I got you? And if you didn't have, you know, that thing and all the pieces and, you know, and you weren't still playing with it, then you didn't appreciate anything that they did for you. Something else. So I put a lot of, you know, extra mental capacity into a gift. So I think with that, me going through the whole gift process, it's like I'd rather not receive something because I know I'll gall him that motherfucker and just be like, it'll be my precious for too long, and I don't want to have a million different things from a couple different people and hold them all with such high value to the point where, do I have a favorite? Do I?
You're like, people.
Like, what's wrong with that? That sounds great.
Well, like I said, for me, it's just like I had not a tumultuous upbringing, but I had a hard time when, dude, do you remember the old, the Beast Wars, the Transformer action figures?
Yeah.
They used to come with like 100 little pieces, like little guns you could hold on to them with and everything. I grew up in the middle of the desert and I was an only child. So I used to go outside and play all the time. Stuff would get lost. And then like years later, it's like, oh, your birthday's coming up. Oh, hey, yeah. You still got that one thing I got you when you were 7? Like, it's around here somewhere. Oh, I ain't getting you shit. You don't take care of anything.
Yeah, I'd have done that. You kidding? I had the Ninja Turtles with all the little weapons, the little tray you had to twist out. They had little ninja stars that would get lost. No, I had all of that.
But here's a question for you, Kate, because you're obviously you're sentimental when somebody gives you a gift and you're very like attached to that thing. It causes some kind of emotion and you're attached to that thing because it was given to you from somebody. But how do you feel when somebody gives it to you, being that it came so low on your list? Does that make sense? Like when someone's actually giving you a gift, how does it make you feel?
Oh, I'm over the moon. Like, I'm super excited because, like I said, for me, it means that the person put thought, effort, energy, time.
So that's great to hear from, because I'm gonna make a point here, but I'm gonna ask Knight a question, okay? Because it ranked really high on your list. So I want to know real quick, because you put up a lot of fronts, and I know you. Okay, so here's the deal. First of all, how do you feel when you receive a gift when you receive a gift from someone? And second of all, is it receiving gifts from somebody you know? Can you receive gifts from just anyone and you're cool? Is that like your love language? Like if somebody was to not really know you that well, wanted to gain your interest, they could go and buy you a gift and you'd be interested?
There are a couple different levels to that. Yes, it's one of the. It's almost like I talked about the girl who made cookies.
Mm-hmm.
So she may not have known me particularly well. I didn't say I'm totally in love with cookies. I like cookies just like everybody else. But she went and made cookies and gave me cookies. And I said, I don't know if that was the reason they were so good or if they were just generally that good. But to this day, they're the best cookies I had. So getting me a gift, on one hand, shows this sort of, it's a bit superficial when anybody could just buy flowers and give you flowers. But I always talked about the intention behind it. So being able to identify, okay, maybe he likes these kind of flowers or something like that factors into it. So you can't just get any old gift, although I will accept it happily. But some thought behind it is necessary.
Okay, so the second part of the question is, if somebody was interested in you, right? Let's say someone's watching the show and they're just like, oh my God, Knight is everything. Oh, I don't even know him yet, but I'm gonna know him. And he said I could buy him a gift. Would that intrigue you? Would that interest you? Would you go,
that would open up the door. Because I'm a natural hoarder to begin with. It's sentimentality to begin, because there's two things, right?
Okay.
Cain is sentimental, but not materialistic.
Right.
Because I wouldn't say I'm materialistic, but I like gadgets. I like things. I like, collecting things. So that is one thing that piques my interest to add to my collection.
Okay. All right. So I just find that really interesting because we've got two guys on the panel that go completely opposite on the spectrum of receiving gifts. And then we've got two girls that are sitting the same way as Cain is. And with us, it's more of like I feel like we're going to, I owe you. You're being noosed, And with Cain, it's more like, okay, well, it's lower on my list, but I still appreciate it. And then I hold on to it and I'm like, I'm never letting it go. And then with you, it's like, yeah, shoot, you could send me a gift. Now there's a question though for you, Kate. Could somebody send you a gift and gain your attention through that?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm much like Knight in that regard, where I do like gadgets, I do like collectibles. So, I mean, that part isn't lost on me. You
So,
know,
I still got Christmas cards I have not thrown away. And just real quick note about this materialism thing. I always have this philosophy, and I ask people this question: would you rather someone you're dating, right? There's two guys that are courting you. These are two mates.
okay.
One guy brings you a stone, the other guy brings you flowers. Which one likes you more?
It depends on your connection with that guy for me. Okay. Like, cause if you're giving me a stone, like even if it's just a rock, but you said stone. So I'm thinking crystal, but let's just say it's a rock. Okay.
It's a
Let's say
rock.
it's a rock out of the yard. All right. But if you're giving it to me and you push it across the table with your nose, you're like, this is what patrons do. That's fucking cute. Now, you know what I'm saying? It depends on how it and in my connection with that person. But
And
yeah,
Callista, what would you say? The stone, the flowers?
So I think with both gifts, there's still effort and thoughtfulness that
Right.
still go behind it.
it
So
depends on how it's given to you.
yeah, I mean,
Here's a rock.
How I
yeah, there
continue
you
the
go.
story.
But you know what? They took the time, or they were walking by it, and they saw this rock, and they said, "Oh, Callista would love this rock," or "This rock reminds me of Callista," or whatever it may be. I mean, there's still some thought there,
Right.
behind the rock. So I
And
think
this
as
is
far
the concept. This is the
Yeah.
concept
Yeah,
I'm talking about
as
gifts.
yeah, as far as that, I think it's equal. I also agree with you, Aurora. It depends on my connection with that person, but hey, maybe the guy or whomever with the rock just gained my favor because they gave me a rock, So it's
So
definitely a
to
connection.
add to that point,
The
the
intent.
guy with the flowers stole it out of your neighbor's yard. The guy with the stone came back from a trip to the Himalayas, and he was on the top of the mountain meditating. And
Oh, I forgot with the stone. Nope, you ain't even got to. Nope, you ain't even got to
you know
stop.
what I'm
Nope,
saying?
we're gonna stop you right there. This guy with the stone. You stole my neighbor's freaking. I'm on HOAs after my ass now. Screw you, dude.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the concept
Yeah.
of gifts. That's the concept of gifts for me.
Well, and I wanted to hear from Miss Callista here, real quick. Could somebody, because it ranks low on your list, so could somebody that's watching the show wanted to date Miss Callista, gain her interest? Could he buy you something and just send it your way, and you'd be like, okay, let me get this. Let me talk to you for a second.
Absolutely. If nothing else, it's definitely flattering.
Right.
Like I said, so in the beginning, I did kind of start off wrong with saying I can buy my own shit, because I definitely can, but at the same time, I am very appreciative of gifts. There's a thoughtfulness, like I was explaining with the rock, there's a thoughtfulness that, hey, they were out shopping or walking around or whatever, and they found something that made them think of me and say, oh, Callista would enjoy this. So that part of it, I would appreciate that sentiment. I really would.
Yeah.
So I don't oppose to receiving gifts. However, it just like you said, it is lower on there's other ways to, kind of gain my favor in that way. So, but yes, I do like gifts.
And so see, and same thing for me. I like gifts. It's just there's still always something in the back of my head going, what do I owe this person now? What is it that I have to do for this person now? But I still like the surprise and the thought process behind it. And I realize that somebody's, trying to be thoughtful. So I don't miss that piece of it, but there's still like this level of stress for me.
You owe me love. Love me.
Like what I gotta do now?
So, but what I hear is a lot of like first understanding your own love language, right? How it affects you, and it seems like the same thing affects different people differently. So, how do you understand or even translate the language for your partner? Where do you even get that from? How is it even something that you need to do? Maybe you just give them a gift and leave it up to them to like it, or do you have to put in the work?
I think, well, and that's okay. So if we're talking about gifts, like in just that in general, I think it's the intent behind it, really honestly. I think that's what everyone's here is getting at is the intent behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
With whoever's giving it to. What is your end game here? Are you doing it because you're doing it because you like me, because you're thinking about me, because you want something in return? Like, what's the intent behind it? You know?
So I've got an interesting tidbit to throw out there with that caveat that Knight just brought up. So I wanted to throw this in with the hot topics, but I thought it'll be a perfect segue into this. So I'll bring it up now. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman in Italy who went in for a minor surgery. The doctors mixed up his charts, thought he had a herniated penis, and removed it.
Wait, what? Removed his penis?
Yes. Okay.
Wow.
This happened back in 2017, 2018. So now 2023, 5 years later, they are barely going to trial. Okay. He is now, going through the court circuit system to gain justice for what they're going to try and chalk up to just medical malpractice. Now, when I first read this information and the conversations that kind of ensued around it, brought up my question here was, is there a monetary, for you and me, Knight, is there a monetary value that can replace your penis? And two, what do you do, even if they offered him $1 trillion, what do men do with their money?
Because most men with their money, like, it's to attract a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like,
through gift giving and things like that. So it's just like...
Monetary value. Oof. Priceless. Gee whiz.
I'm very curious to hear what Knight's going to have to say about this. Is there a monetary value?
Monetary. We're talking future generations here. We're talking, the clan. You just cut the clan off at the stem.
Yeah.
Oof. Big numbers. I mean, I would milk. I would definitely milk the system best I could. I would preemptively I want a really good lawyer, talk about the children I'm not going to have and the women I'm not going to be able to please from now on.
Well, what do you do with all that money? Let's say you win. Let's say you win trillions of dollars. What do you do with all that money?
Hey, I'll be a rich eunuch. All right. Be on a yacht called the Big Johnson.
Wait. I've got it for you here, Kate. Since if you guys watched our last show, Knight admitted that he's a pleaser, which you like, because what's I like. So if he was a eunuch, he'd be okay. He's like, girl, just sit on my face.
I'd be that dude that takes you downstairs with all the gadgets. The thing, you'd sit on this and turn this on and tie yourself up to that, and I'll press the button. That's what I'll do.
He's like, girl, go. Faster. Okay, faster. No, you ain't doing nothing for me. Are you getting off?
Quite the mistake, though. Gosh, that's quite the mistake for that doctor to make. But yeah. I mean, yes, like Knight was bringing up, there's other gadgets and toys and everything that can be used in place. But still, that's terrible.
Here's my thing. If I'm going to court and I have no penis and they're offering me billions of dollars, I'm no longer interested in the money. I am suing for revenge. Give me 5 minutes with some rusty surgical equipment and that motherfucker sedated.
Wrongs don't make them right.
Tit for tat, yeah. That's.
I think you think very differently, Knight. If your member was missing.
Oh no. I mean, it had a good run. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
But I mean, okay. So just think of it this way. You get your penis removed, right? You get billions of dollars, and all of a sudden, I don't know, one of your favorite webcam chicks or something now all of a sudden has an interest in you. The only thing that you've ever done your entire life was jerk your meat to the thought of this person somehow wonderfully, magically, cosmically finding an interest or an attraction in you, and you being able to, have sex with that person or do things with that person that you would need your member for, but you lack the money. Now you got the money and have no member and she's interested. How damn dumb do you feel? Like, well,
they make an attachment for that.
But you get no feeling, you get no joy, you get no satisfaction. I mean, there is no feeling.
She does.
That's fine.
Yeah, she does, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're getting the money for, is to please and the woman, right?
Especially if you like, what do they call it? Put those diamonds on it with that stupid thing that you do on your jeans. Like
Yep.
if you bedazzle that with some real diamonds.
Put some vibration modes in there. Look, you're a trillionaire. Get a new cock built and cock-a-doodle-doo, okay?
You know what I'm saying? Like, let me get this baby started.
Look, it vibrates at 6 different speeds, girl. Which one you want?
Okay. I'll be cyborg. No problem. No problem.
But it's like, what do you do if, you think your partner's unhappy, your partner's unfulfilled because you haven't communicated, you think that, your partner needs to understand yours, but it's just important for you to understand their love language. So how do you find that out? How do you embrace that? And what if their love language does not coincide with your own? Like, what if, physical touch is something that you're not comfortable with, and physical touch is your partner's main line of, feeling love, affection, feeling heard and, a part of their relationship? What if you're broke and you can't afford to give gifts and you're dating a person who loves to receive gifts? So what do you do if, you work a lot to try and provide a lifestyle and your partner's love language is quality time?
Bake some damn cookies.
It can take some effort. I mean, like, if you're caring about this person, you're loving this person, you're in a relationship with them. I'm sorry. And I'm just going to say this. Relationships are work. It's a full-time motherfucking job. Full-time. 24/7. Never get off. Not even while you're sleeping. Just full-time. So you got to take into consideration some of those things that your partner needs and put those things first. If that's, where you guys are headed within your relationship. If I care about somebody, I'm going to step outside of myself to give you what it is that you need. And maybe you don't even fucking fully understand that, which is something that was explained a second ago. Like, what if your, partner doesn't understand it, or how do you go about finding it? And I mean, I think that's where, talking with your partner, and even if they don't understand it, kind of watching the signs and kind of seeing, what it is that kind of calms them down or makes them happy or makes them go this direction instead of that direction. I mean, you can kind of read somebody, even if they don't know themselves about love languages and where they sit in that. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's upset and hey, if I touch their leg, this calms them down. This is what they need so that they know we're okay. Or, hey, this person has been really upset and it's because, I've been distracted and I haven't really been, doing the dishes or the laundry. Like, she needed me to, that kind of thing, whatever it is, And so you've got to kind of step outside of yourself to give those things. Because love is like a circle. So hopefully if you're giving, then they give back too. And it's just love is like a circle.
So a lot of times, especially in the beginning of relationships, let's say you're not at that communication point yet,
Yep.
or you're still learning how to communicate as a single unit. A lot of times people will display their affection towards you using their own love language.
Right.
At the beginning, especially until they learn yours. So with someone, let's say who has words of affirmation as their top tier, they may, it's important to learn that. And they'll also display that to you. Like, hey, you did an awesome job. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. You're this and that. And then that's also keeping an open mind and stepping outside of yourself. Like, Miss Aurora was saying, you got to look beyond yourself. They're showing you exactly how to love them.
That is a great point. I just want to add on to that. I'm going to piggyback on that because that's a great point. Because somebody that doesn't even understand themselves, most of the time, it's just kind of human nature. We do for the other person what we would want done for us. We're giving you a roadmap. We're showing you exactly what it is that I need from you. I'm touching you. I'm buying you things. I'm, that kind of thing, especially in the beginning, because you don't know what that person needs. So you're going to do, you know what? I would love to be treated this way. And that's what you're going to do for your partner. So somebody that doesn't even know how to communicate will show it through actions. And you just got to kind of pay attention and go, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, okay. especially if you can't communicate with that person in the beginning. So that was actually a really great way to bring it in, because in the beginning there isn't that, deep communication and that level of like, well, what's your love language? It's weird. You can't say that to somebody.
I'm a little confused because when I show up naked on somebody's doorstep, I was showing what I would appreciate, and I don't think they took it the same way.
Let's just nope right out of that, okay?
Anyone's doorstep.
You're still looking at the neighbor, huh?
I don't think we're speaking the same language.
Look, I came here naked. Don't you know what this means?
Okay,
But
so then
no.
if you're having that miscommunication and you're not speaking the same love language, I mean, do you still find yourself falling in love with that person? I mean, is it possible to love each other genuinely without speaking that same language?
Ooh, let's hear
Well, I'll
about
tell you
I
this.
want to hear
A lot
from
of
the guys
people-
how they're feeling with this.
A lot of
Okay.
people fall out of love and break up for that same reason.
Yep.
So
But do you think it's possible to, be with a partner that doesn't speak your same love language? Do you think it's possible to eventually communicate and get on the same level, especially as a guy? Because guys have they have a hard time having communication all the time. And I'm just saying this because I've been in both female relationships and male ones, okay? Where with a female, you talking all the time about your feelings all the time, to a point where like you are sitting there going, God damn it, why am I a girl? And why am I talking like that? Feelings. So, I mean, and then you go complete opposite with dudes where they're like, okay, we'll communicate for a little bit. All right, I'm done talking. Where's my beard? It's like, you gotta, so can you, if you don't speak the same love language, can you be together? Mr. Knight. Right.
I think you definitely you can love you can love somebody that's beating you with a stick, sure, but I don't think it's a long-term thing. I don't think you'll be able to stay together. Ultimately, you will have to learn how to communicate and speak a third language, or you guys won't last. That's the belief.
All right. What do you think, Kane? As a guy.
Looking at the divorce rates, across the world, I'd say that it's damn near impossible. Just
Okay.
because I feel like that's probably one of the biggest issues across the board, is that fact right there, is not speaking the same love language, not communicating effectively. If you can't level with your partner and receive what you need from your partner, then you're going to start, unfortunately, it's just the human brain, the way the brain works, men and women alike. If you're not getting something, you'll find someplace where you are getting it.
Yep.
You'll start looking. And there was, I think Bob Marley had a quote where it says, if you're in a relationship and you fall in love with another person, go with the second person, because if you truly loved the first, you wouldn't have found the second. And so, maybe you're playing the same crapshoot the second, third, fourth go around, where it's like, oh, I can't find somebody who meets my needs. I can't find somebody who pleases me, who does what I need them to do. And eventually that will start to poison the relationship. So I think that, can it happen? I think it happens all the time. Does it last? I don't think it does.
Well, what if
I
you're
think
someone
that's
like me that has a
interesting.
lot of love to go around?
Well, I think that's interesting how both you guys were very similar in your thought process on that, because I disagree with you guys. So
Shocker.
being someone, so my highest tier was, acts of service. So you're saying, in order for me to be in a healthy, meaningful relationship, I need another partner that, his or her, whomever that may be, their top tier needs to be acts of service as well.
No.
I don't see that going well. So that's kind of where I'm getting the disconnect.
No, we're talking about communicate.
Yeah.
So you can have a different love language from your partner. You can absolutely have two different things. So just for instance, yours was acts of service and mine was words of affirmation. Words of affirmation were really low on your list.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a weird, kind of cosmic reality, just imagine I'm not somebody who can give the acts of service that you're looking for, and you're not somebody who can provide the words of affirmation that I'm looking for. But somehow we found ourselves in a relationship. Something is clicking, something is working. How long before hey, the main way to my heart that you're not meeting is ultimately going to poison the relationship to the point where it no longer works.
Well,
So
in
it's
that
not
regard, I still disagree, because there still needs to be that communication of being able to communicate with, your love language. I
and
guess,
that's what
yeah,
we're
you're right in the way of, if there's no communication, then yeah, it's not
yeah,
there.
exactly.
It's a fling in
Right.
that in that aspect. However, if you're going into a relationship, there always has to be that communication, and you have to have that open channel and learn each other's love language.
But
And I agree with everybody here on the panel. Now, we'll play a little bit of devil's advocate, because the question is it possible for you and your partner to love each other and not speak the same love language? It has nothing to do with communication.
Yeah,
Can you love?
Absolutely.
Yes, you can. You totally can. And I mean, I've been in relationships where the relationship has ended and I still love that person. Does that make sense? Like it doesn't mean that I want to be with you. It doesn't mean that it works out because maybe the communication wasn't there. But ultimately, I still love you. I still love you for the person that you are, the things that you've done, what you've been there for through thick and thin, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? If we have a loving, I think you can still love somebody. And I honestly think that you can still be in a relationship even and work on communication, and maybe that person never gets it, but you can still love that person. Does that make sense? It's not very healthy, but yes. And I mean, a lot of people are stuck in some of these relationships, where they can't communicate. They can't get what they need from that person, but they still love that person for whatever reason it is. There might be some other qualities that maybe didn't hit your top tier. So my top tier, even though the test was off, is physical touch. I mean, I can honestly say that when I'm in a long-term relationship, it's physical touch. I need to know we're okay. And that's how you tell me, and so, but I can still realize that even if I'm not getting that physical touch, that person's maybe buying me gifts or giving me words of affirmation. And I understand that, there may not be, if there's just words of affirmation, there's no action behind it, that may not click here. But in the same aspect, I can also understand that this is how this person is trying to show me that they love me. And I love them for that. Does that make sense? I love them for who they are. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to work, though, because I need something. And if you're self-aware, you need the thing that you need.
So let me paint a scenario. Oh, go ahead.
To put on this point, for Aurora may already know, date someone who's autistic.
There you go.
Yep. That's all you got. That's all I got to say. Date someone who's autistic. That will answer all your questions.
He's like, link to my bio is in the description below.
So let me paint a scenario for you guys. There is, let's just say there's one person in a relationship whose love language is physical touch. Okay. Right. That is how they feel love. That is how they feel connected. That is the way to make them feel a part of the relationship. But the way that they convey their love isn't along the same lines. They do acts of service. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that person is in a relationship with somebody who needs words of affirmation, but doesn't know how to, or doesn't have the time or the ability to meet that other person's love language the way they need it, which is, physical touch. And so they feel withdrawn, disconnected because, this person keeps doing things for me, but they just don't touch me. This person keeps doing things for me. They keep buying me gifts, but they don't, make me feel secure in this relationship by, telling me positive things. They don't tell me good job. I do things that, people should be proud of. And this person doesn't give me the benefit of telling me, hey, they're proud of me. I love you for doing that. I love this about you. I love that about you. So they're not, these two people are doing everything they can to show the other person that they love them by doing things that don't correspond with their love language. So they're not giving words of affirmation, they're giving gifts. It's still their love. It's still everything that they've got. It's still the way that they know how to love. but it's just not corresponding with the way that that person feels loved.
Steve's love, yeah.
And so,
How many times have you heard this in couples that break up or divorce situations? I gave her everything.
Yes,
I
that.
did everything for her.
Yep. I did everything I possibly could. Yep.
yeah.
Except for maybe doing our favorite word, which is communicate. There was some kind of disconnect that was happening to where they drifted apart and they're not being able to communicate effectively on how to, actually love one another. So they need to be able to communicate to come back and how to show each other how to love one another.
Okay, Hulk smash. Go ahead, Hulk smash.
Exams. All right. I know we were having a very decent conversation. I know that this was going really well, but Morbid Marcos has to just throw a fucking monkey wrench in this whole fucking shit. And let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty. Let's save some motherfuckers right now. We're going to argue amongst ourselves. You guys are going to see some top tier shit going on right here. And I'm going to start it off with just this bold statement right here. How many times have you heard a man say, I did everything for her? And the response was, except for communicate. God damn it. How many times have you been with a guy 3 months later that says, I did everything for her? Be like, that chick never told me shit. That woman was a mind game. Everything was a guessing game. I was supposed to read her mind.
No, I've heard that a lot of times.
And vice versa. Guys do it the same way. And I'm not coming down on women. I'm going to attack everybody equally. These hands rated E for everyone. We're going into it. All right. Guys are the same damn way. Guys will go to work all day, come home, be pissed that dinner isn't ready, but never fucking say, hey, I would be really nice if when I came home, there was a meal on the table. And that goes into this, well, I shouldn't have to cook a meal for this motherfucker, like he can go through a drive-through before he comes home. He shouldn't have to come home hungry or cranky. Same thing with chicks. I'd be appreciative if this guy would do the dishes every now and again. And, if you don't communicate that to your partner, I mean, we can go down the line of communication and having to talk about it, but it also has to be straightforward communication. You can't play mind games. You can't play guessing games. You can't say, oh, well, I left the dishes there for a week to see if he'd do them. He never touched them. Well, if you never told him to do them, then.
Well, and here's the other aspect of that is that we talk a lot about communication on this show, right? And if only one person is communicating and the other person isn't receiving, or they don't want to hear anything bad that's going on, or they don't want to, oh, well, I didn't, eventually it starts turning into those mind games. And that's just what I've realized through counseling people, because somebody's trying to be upfront, be clear, be communicative, and the other person isn't receiving it well. And so then it turns into this thing where it's like, well, I'm going to make him see, watch this. I'm going to leave it like this and do this like this so that this person, and and that's why we preach about communication. Because if you guys can just hear each other out, even if you don't like what's being said, hear each other out, hear what that person needs. Because if you care about that person, you should be able to hear the fact that you even heard them. You know what I'm saying? And be able to fix it from there and move forward from there. But if you don't have clear communication, it's a dead end road. It's a dead end road. When you start getting into those mind games, it's a dead end road. It's really hard to get back in those.
If you're speaking the same language, that's what I found a lot of breakdown with communication is not just misunderstanding, or just understanding what the other person's saying. You guys are speaking two different languages.
Right. Yep.
And all the communication you're going to do is not going to be effective because you guys are just, one's French and one's German. It's not happening.
Well, and here's a question. I've got a really good question to ask off of that. So because we had somebody on the show that would, communicate effectively. And then, the partner wasn't hearing it or whatever. So do you think that without the very clear communication that you can still be with someone, like let's say they hear you, whatever, might get mad, might get pissy, whatever. Do you think you can still progress with that person? Like if I sit there and say, hey, as a guy, I worked all day. It would be really nice to come home to a hot meal. And the girl instead goes, okay, in my head, a hot meal is a pot of corn.
Nope. This is why, 20, 30 years down the road, what you thought was a, normal happy couple, divorced out of the blue, gone.
What do you think?
We just fell out of it.
What
I
do you
want to
think?
kick it to Callista because I went off on a rant.
Okay, all right. All right, so what do you think? Do you think that if there's not like that clear communication, and like the example I gave you, do you think it can last? Do you think that like without that balance?
No, because there has to be some kind of level, some kind of constant there. And if you don't already have that common ground, you're not gonna make it last. You
So
really aren't.
and I'm going to throw a wrench in here. You don't think
Sure.
that even those people can go to counseling and maybe learn how to communicate with each other?
Oh, absolutely. But there needs to be effort. First, a couple things need to happen first. First, there needs to be self-reflection on, first, do you even want that to continue on? And then are you willing to put in the work, because relationships are work, to make that effort of proceeding along with the relationship. And then, yes, then you go see a therapist, you get some outside help, and to
know how to
communicate.
Because I mean, I know people come to me because there's somebody in the relationship that has no idea how to get past even expressing a feeling or an emotion for fear of rejection. Like that's one of the main things that I get a lot.
This is why I said before, both parties have to learn how to speak a third language, because you may never learn to speak that other person's language.
And that's what I was asking, like, with counseling, you could learn to speak that language, that other person's language, or no. What do you think, Kate?
Worst case.
Again, like I said earlier, I think it happens all the time. I think it's happening right now. And I think people just find ways to make it work, because regardless of how difficult everybody finds having clear communication, the one thing that I've, in my experience, seen more true of people is, regardless of whether they can communicate or not, or think that, they could rectify a situation through talking, the strongest driving force is the fear of change.
That's a great point.
And so you can communicate all day long. The other person can understand you, but that person also has to be willing to change. And unfortunately, we now live in a world where you'll catch different advice from everybody. Should you have to change? No. Are you going to change? Probably. You shouldn't have to do this you shouldn't have to change who you are to please anybody, but you should be able to please somebody by changing the things that they don't like about you. And it's just kind of like all these catch-22s going back and forth, and for one fucking end goal, which is just trying to figure out how to cohabitate with another person.
Right. Go ahead.
I know we're running long on this lovely topic, and I want to stick a pin on this one. This is a woman on TikTok. She went to brag on TikTok about her situation. So her husband and her father-in-law are building a house from scratch. They doing all the work, so all the stuff is laid out. The father-in-law sent her a message. Hey, listen, before we come home today, can you clean up, put the tools away, this and this and this and that? And she came in on TikTok like, look at this. They want me to clean this, and I had nothing to do with all this. So the advice she got from a woman on TikTok, like, no, don't do any of that stuff. You're not the slave. You have a job. So the husband, next day, did all of it, cleaned up everything. She went again on TikTok. Look, I didn't clean anything, and he did it. Great. Third TikTok. She's in a hotel getting a divorce. That's that point where she thought this communication thing. He tried to tell her, listen, I'm building you a house for our family.
All I need you to do is clean up. Yeah.
And her language was a bit different. She's like, well, that's, all the comments were like, oh, please, have him take me. I would be happy to do so. They weren't speaking each other's language.
Right.
And the husband finally realized it and said, this is not going to work.
Or she just wasn't hearing it. Yeah.
She wasn't hearing it. She wasn't hearing it. She went to the internet to ask for advice from a bunch of people that didn't know what they were talking about.
Yep. And they're not in your relationship. Nobody knows what happens behind closed doors. My suggestion to you and anyone is to not go online to get help with your relationship.
Unless it's here on SafeWord.
Right. Unless you want some counseling. Any one of us could do that for you. Okay? You seek some real help.
We're all professionals here.
Of some sort, one way or another.
Right.
Counseling from us.
All right. So Knight did bring it to our attention that we are running a little long, so let's just go ahead and wrap this up really quick. Does anybody else have any closing arguments, anything that they'd like to throw in there, pepper in there, final points to make, anything before we decide to call it a night?
Relationships are work. Do not get in them unless you want to freaking work.
Knight, you got anything?
SafeWord's love language is subscribing and liking. That's how we know.
Nice, I love it.
Learn your partner's love language.
All right. So we've brought a lot of good points up. This was supposed to be really quick, but anytime you start talking about the topic of, love, communicating, everything else, it's going to be a long drawn out conversation, because just like everywhere else, there's a difference of opinions. Everybody's got their ideas and none of them are any less valid than the others. It's just a different perspective on looking at it. And I think if everybody could kind of figure out that, hey, people are going to have different perspectives and you're not going to change that person, but maybe we could find a way to work together, maybe everything would work out in the end. But we're a long way from figuring that out or actually seeing that come to fruition. So with that being said, we will, call it a night and say SafeWord still has a lot of work to do. So we will be coming back to you week after week with just enough information to keep your relationship going just for that much more time. All right. So from all of us here at SafeWord, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys another time. Have a good night, everybody. And we'll catch you guys later.